Let's see what we're going to start off with today. I'm going to talk about my father a little bit today. I want to go back to when I now all this I'm going to talk about today is what I heard. I don't know anything for a fact, but I believe it. I believe that what I heard was probably true. They say that my father started his dairy farm when he was about 18 years old. Now that seems like an awful young age, but we're talking about God. We're going back maybe, good Lord, maybe 100 years ago. I'm not sure. You know, well, it wouldn't be in the 1800s because even though I think he was born in the 1800s, he as far as I know, listening to the family talk, my grandfather and his wife moved down from Paris, Texas, down to Dallas in the late 1800s. In fact, my father was 6 years old when they come down here. And, of course, there was a lot of talk about, I heard that he was taken out of school when he was 6 years old and put to work on the farm, but that's not true. So a lot of the stuff that I hear about my grandfather and in olden times is not true, because my grandfather didn't have no he didn't have no farm when he come down to Texas. I don't know where he got all his money, but he had a lot of money. There's a big story in that, and not that I know anything is true, but I'm gonna make one of these things on my grandfather one of these days on what I've decided, and there ain't none of it true. I mean, I don't know if it's true or false, but there's something squirrely about the fact. See, when my grandfather on Bertrand Street, he had a two-story house. Now, 1, 2, 3 of his children were right next to him on the same street. Now that's kind of strange, you know. I mean, he must have had a lot of money, you know. But and he had another son, Ben, that was just one block back from is behind his house, one street back, you know. So that was 4, 1, 2, 3. That was 4 of his children that were living right there close to him, which I got to believe the reason they did that was he gave them the money for it. You know, why would they do that? Why would we, for example, my family, live on that street when he had a farm? Where did he? They say that my father went into the dairy business when he was about 18, 19 years old. Now, where did he get the money to buy a head of cattle, a bunch of cattle, and a farm? Where did he get the money to do that? Only 18, 19 years old. You know, it had to come from his granddad, it had to come from his father, you know. But where did my father get it? Nobody seems to know. They say he had I also heard, I don't know if this is true, I also heard he had a grocery store downtown Dallas, way in the middle of Dallas. Boy, it was real young. Now, I don't, before Dallas, I say Dallas young, Dallas was a brand new city. Now, whether he did or not, there ain't no way I can prove he did or prove he didn't. I just heard that. And I don't know whether to believe it or not. In fact, I don't know what to believe anything at all about my grandfather, you know. But talking about my dad, God, he was the hardest working man I ever seen in my life. When he started out, now this part of it I believe is probably true. He supposedly bought that farm from a man called Gaston. And Gaston Avenue over in Dallas, they say, was named after him. And my dad bought it. Gaston got some kind of what do you call these things when you get a grant from the state? And I don't know, my dad called him Captain Gaston, so he must have fought in some kind of war. I don't know what war he fought in. I ain't never bothered to look it up. It don't really make much difference. But anyway, he got a big land grant, and my father bought this farm that he bought off of Captain Gaston. And I call him Captain Gaston because that's what my dad called him. But here's what I want to tell you about my father being such a hard worker. Good Lord, I was looking at something here, trying to straighten something out. Oh, I messed up this thing. I messed up. Anyway, I'm sorry I had to stop. I had to stop and fix something there. But anyway, boy, can you imagine? Oh, Lord have mercy. Now, Captain Gaston lived over in North Dallas. My dad's farm was over in South Dallas. Now, when he first started that, when he was 18, 19 years old, whenever it was, there were no cars. Leastwise, he didn't have one, you know. And he had a horse and buggy. Now, he had to milk those cows. He had to hitch up that horse in that buggy, and he had to drive that buggy all the way over to North Dallas to put that milk in a bucket. They didn't have no bottles and stuff. They had a bucket with a wet rag over the top of it to keep the bugs and flies out. And he would pour that bucket that what I hear and what they tell me, that the Gastons would put that bucket out on their back porch, and my dad would go over there and fill that bucket up with milk, and then put that wet rag over top of it so bugs would stay out of it. Think about that, man. I mean, you milk a bunch of cows, you hook up a horse and buggy, and you drive that buggy. God darn, I don't know how far it is from South Dallas over to North Dallas, but it ain't no hop, skip, and a jump, especially if you're driving a horse and buggy. You know, I mean, I can't. It's unbelievable. I don't believe there's a man alive today that would do that. I can't believe he did that. God, I don't know if I believe that or not, but they say it's true. You know, when they first told me about it, I was just a little bitty kid, you know, maybe 10, 12, 15 years old, somewhere in there. And I see all the information I get is what I hear older people talk about. I don't know nothing, you know. I got an old saying that I use, and then a lot of people don't like these old sayings, but this one kind of stuck with me through the years. Is I don't know what I think I know. See, I don't know anything except what I see. I think I know a lot of things because I see them on TV and I hear people talking. That's just a think. That's a think stuff. You know, I think I know it because I heard somebody say it or I saw it, but you can't believe what you see on TV. Hell, these people in these show business, they can make anything they want. They can make it look like it's something that's true, and there ain't nothing true at all about it, you know. So I really don't know what I think I know. But I tend to believe, after knowing my dad and being around him before he passed away, and when he was younger, and seeing how he acted and the way he done things, I have to believe he probably did that. He's the most determined and the hardest working man I think that I ever knew. He may not have been the only one in the world, but there's darn few that be in front of him, I'll tell you that for sure. There's nobody worked any harder than my old man did. But God, it's almost hard to believe that he would do that. It's something that, Lord have mercy, I just don't know what to think about that. I wouldn't do it. I know that. Not now. I don't think there's anybody alive today in the United States to do that. There ain't nobody would milk them cows. Of course, now that wasn't the only customer he had. That was just one that they talked about. He had to drive over. He had to drive well, and then he had to come back, and he had to peddle that milk somewhere else. You know, he had a bunch of stops where when he first started, he didn't have no bottling machine or none of that stuff. He just had to take that milk out and sell it to people. He had to drum him up some customers, I guess. I don't know how he did it. I feel so stupid. And I'm sure y'all already figured that out. I ain't telling you nothing you don't know. You've already decided I'm some kind of dipwit. But I don't care what you think. It doesn't make no difference to me. I say, well, I've got to say, and if you don't like it, we'll shove it. You know, I don't care. I don't care much for you either. So we're going to be even on that score. And I'm way ahead of you because I got less respect for you than you got me. I don't care how low it is that you got. You go kiss me, you know, whatever. But anyway, let me get back to my dad here. I don't want to get in an argument with you because it'd be a one-way argument. You know, you think whatever you like about me. I don't really care. But getting back to my dad, it's just it's just something that's beyond belief. I mean, Lord have mercy. Imagine somebody would do that, work that hard to try to. Of course, now we're getting back in times when everybody worked hard. He wasn't the only one. The only exception I could think of was my grandfather. I don't know what to think about him. I'm gonna make a thing one of these days, and it's gonna be on my grandfather because I kind of think there's some funny business going on. You know, he come from Paris, Texas, and originally when I was thinking about him, I don't know if you remember Quantrill's Raiders up in Missouri. Well, Missouri is above what is it, Louisiana? Not Louisiana, but Arkansas. And it's just a hop, skip, and a jump from up there. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump from up Missouri down to Paris, Texas. And then they went from Paris, Texas to Dallas. And everybody says that, I mean, he had to have a bunch of money to build a 2-story house and 4 other houses for his children. And where did he get it? Everybody said he had a big farm. He didn't have no big farm. You know, if he had a big farm up in Paris, Texas, what did he leave there for? How come he'd leave? You know, he'd come down here to Dallas and just build a 2-story house. He didn't do nothing here that I know of. Somebody said he had a store downtown Dallas, but I don't remember anybody making a big deal out of it. I just heard it once or twice, and I don't know if that's true or not, you know. But it's a kind of strange situation. I didn't mean to get off on him because I want to do a whole scenario thing. Scenario, I don't know if I can even pronounce that word. Scenario? I can't say it. The whole story. Hell, let's go that route. I can say that. But anyway, it's sort of strange. But we were talking about my dad. I was talking about how hard a worker my dad is. Always that, oh, Lord have mercy. He was, but he's one of the, in a way, he was the hardest working guy, one of the hard-nosed person I ever seen, and yet he was most kindest person I ever seen. There was always a bunch of people hanging around the farm. They didn't work on the farm. I don't know, he had to have built all these one-room places out where people showed up and lived on his farm. Of course, they had all the milk they could drink, and he let them kill. We had so many chickens and stuff. Hell, they could kill a chicken when they needed or whatever, and get something to eat, and you know, and milk, all the milk they could drink, and there was 3 or 4 people that hung around there. Mr. Brown was one of them, and Tobe Harton, and Lee Ray wasn't exactly one that hung around there. He was a worker. Lord, I got some stuff I could talk about him. He had a family of 3 children. Well, Roy Ray was the oldest, and then there was Charles Ray and B.D. Ray, and there was Lee Ray. But then there was other people that hung around there. He was a worker. Lee Ray was kind of a sharecropper on the garden. He took over that garden for a few years, and then somebody told me he moved to Arizona. I don't know who told me, or even if it's true or not. That's in my mind how I come about it. I'm not real sure whether it's true or not that happened. But anyway, there was just a bunch of folks that hung out there at his farm and lived in. I don't know. They didn't build the houses. The dad must have built them. You know, he built them for those people. He was trying to help them out, I guess. I don't know. They didn't do nothing around the farm. I mean, they didn't work on the farm. You know, Brown didn't do a darn thing. He was too old to work. You know, Mr. Brown actually lived behind us. He lived right by. We lived on Bertrand. His place was right behind our place over on Carpenter. The back of his place bordered the back of our place, and he lived out there on the farm. I think he lost his wife, and he moved out there on the farm and lived in a little one-room shack, you know. And hell, he got all the milk he could drink. They go up and get milk, and of course The water was free. Had a pump there. And even by the time he did that, there was electricity on that farm. So he had electricity. He had. I don't know if he had any money or not. I don't know whether they. I don't even know whether they had Social Security there or not. They may not have had Social Security. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know where he got his money. I don't know if Dad gave it to him or what the heck, because he didn't do nothing on the farm that I know of. I never seen him working around the farm. If he worked around that farm, I didn't know about it. There was, like I say, there was Roy Turner, and there was Mr. Brown. I don't know what his first name was. Mr. Brown. Then there was Tobe Harton, and there was Quinny, and oh, I got to quit this thing. I'll start another one here later on.